So the first thing I want to talk about is a system that I came up with when I had injured myself during parkour. Repeated or kind of chronic injury stopped me doing what I really enjoyed doing, which is parkour and strength training. So I decided to really slow down, stop, and pay really hyper detailed attention to what was actually going on and what was really present, to try to figure out how to get back to the state of being or the body that I really enjoyed playing in. And that was a kind of two-pronged path. I came up with what I call the pillars of performance and the body system. I'll just go into the pillars of performance for this. So the pillars of performance, I believe, can be kind of laid on top of any physical skill you're doing. They're just a checklist, essentially. It's just something to touch base with. You don't have to completely become these concepts. You can, but you don't have to. You can take it as far or as little as you want. But yeah, they're just a checklist, and they work best if you're doing a physical skill that involves multiple reps. And each rep you check how you did against each of these pillars. And you can kind of check and then bump up whatever you thought was lacking. There's safety, centered, stable, soft, smooth. They're interchangeable, and strong. And then there's speed/springy. Generally they follow that order, but they can kind of intermingle. For example, if you are unsafe within any part of yourself, like physically, let's say your wrist is injured, obviously doing a push-up with strength or springiness isn't going to be an option. And if it is an option, it's not a good option. So going to safe and exploring that through the body system, essentially, is the first port of call. But if it's not a massive injury, you can kind of slide in between safe and the next one, which is stable. Obviously, you want to create stability before you create strength. Without stability, strength is way harder to produce and much higher risk if it is produced. So you do what you can to increase your stability in any given movement. And then centered as well. So centered is actually before stable. So say if it's a wrist, you put your hand on the ground into a push-up position and try to find the center. Try to find your center of balance, your center of mass, and then explore your edges from there. And then once you've explored your edges, then you can apply stability, which is basically just a tiny bit of strength and introducing a little bit of imbalance, really. And then soft and smooth. Soft is how it feels. You want it to feel as minimal impact as possible. Whatever you're doing, it should be minimally impactful on your body. So you're trying to absorb your forces rather than kind of just take it and let it pass through your skeleton. You're absorbing it with your fascia, with your muscles, and going from there. Smooth is to do with technique. What does this particular movement look like in its most beautiful, or in its most advanced form? And how close can you get to that? Strength, obviously, is strength. We all know how to increase or decrease that. Many different ways. Play with what works. Then springiness or speed. So speed, obviously, everyone knows how to alter that. Springiness is body feel. How it feels in your body to be elastic or springy within a certain movement. Yeah, springiness and soft will often coincide, but they don't have to. So you can, any of these kind of pillars can be stacked onto each other and mesh with one another. But yeah, they don't have to. You can go in and out of these to whatever degree you wish. And different movements will inherently require different levels of these aspects. If you're sprinting, sprinting kind of requires all of it. Say if you're doing a horse stance though, obviously that's not going to require a whole lot of springiness. And if it does, it's going to be really subtle, which is also another benefit of these. Like these isometric movements or these subtle movements still hold these aspects, but you need to really invest more of your attention to finding these aspects in certain movements. They will be there though, and they'll still be fun to explore. So yeah, that's basically the pillars of performance. It's something that I like to use most of the time. It can be overdone. I have had the tendency to overdo these and get caught up in the body feel of it rather than potentially just doing the reps or doing the activity for the sake of getting it done rather than the sake of being in it. There's definitely a benefit for both. Yeah, I hope that helps, and if you do experiment with it, let me know how they feel. Let me know what you did and if you noticed any kind of benefit from it. Because yeah, be super interested to hear.